just look through the glass like you're talking to Will East on the other side of the glass,
that
and
works.
it'll work okay.
Yeah.
I wish we were all in the same place. That makes it far easier to do the eye contact thing.
Modern technology, it's all good. Yeah, it'd be nice to be gathered around the table here, but it's okay. We were talking about cruising the coast and the tournament and everything just a few minutes ago, so it's all good.
Yeah, so soon enough we will all be gathered in the exact same spot. About 6 months out, roughly.
A little more. We were talking 7, 6.5. Getting close. Yeah, we're close. It's hard to believe we're maybe halfway in between two. They come on you pretty quick, and then next thing, one's done and you're moving on. So it's, we're getting there.
I feel like before we look forward, we should look back. Great tournament this past year.
Yeah.
The weather was just unbelievable. The crowds were good. You had another fantastic champion. And then a couple of months after the dust settled, you handed off a really, really big check to the Batson Children's Hospital.
Yeah, and that's why we do it, right? And you're right. Although by the end of the week, you're like, gosh, I would love to have a cloud. Maybe one, just a little bit of shade here and there.
Oh, really? Really?
I mean, it was a gorgeous week, right? I mean, from pro-ams to for everything for spectators, we had a great week. Another great year for charity. Gave children's, friends and children's 1.1, and then another $400,000 to over 50 Mississippi charities. It was just another phenomenal year again. Got to start to know our new friends with Wayne Sanderson Farms a little bit that week, and it's going to be another hard one to top. I mean, Mackenzie Hughes, extra 40 minutes, a couple hole playoff on the Golf Channel. It was a good year, very good year.
You had guys that were playing really well down the stretch, too. And I say down the stretch. I mean, we're still in this kind of strange calendar. Is it the end of the year? Is it the beginning of the year? Whatever it is. And that's all about to be changing again. But in that fall series, you had Mackenzie Hughes, who was playing well. He ends up beating Sepp Straka, who was playing really, really well. You had Saif Tagala that was there.
Yes.
And just his burst onto the scene. It's incredible.
Bunch of guys. Mark Herbert was up there. Scott Stallings could have won his second here. Soth. I mean, it was Nick Hardy was up there at the end. Any one of those top 10, I mean, it was very competitive going into Sunday's round. But McKenzie's a great gentleman. He'll be a great champion. Our second Canadian, citizen winner since, Nick Taylor in 14. So I've talked to him and his caddy Jace a few times since then, and he'll be a good champion for us.
I know that we're not always supposed to talk about the money, and sometimes even the PGA Tour has, well, at least previously, had kind of shied away from some of the money conversation. But did you ever, when you started doing this, did you believe that you could get to a place where you were going to be handing off a winner's check, a first place prize of nearly $1.5 million?
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, the Tiger effect, right, has taken us, the last 20 years has taken us to levels and really what's been announced in the last couple months, and I don't know if anyone ever knew, but, man, $1.5 million to win a golf tournament. I mean, certainly not here. I mean, when I started, the purse was 3.6, I think, maybe 3.8, and now this year will be 8.1.
Wow.
I mean, it's a big deal. And now 8.1 on the tour is, right there, kind of average if you're not one of the designated events. So we're proud of everything that we've done so far.
And it's one thing to talk about doubling your money when you go from like 400,000 to 800,000. When you go from 4 million to 8 million, that's a little bit different deal.
Yeah, I mean, and it was all our friends at Wayne Sanderson and Mr. Sanderson. I mean, it's them wanting to do this for the state of Mississippi and for what we're doing for charity. It's just class act all around, and has allowed us to do some things that we never thought we could do.
All right, Steve. So you always you're always gracious when I ask you this.
Okay.
But I wonder if no, I'm not setting you up. I wonder if internally you roll your eyes when I'm like, okay, so what are you doing when you're 7 months out from the next tournament and 5 months in the rearview mirror from the previous one?
Yeah, I mean we're selling. I mean we're talking to corporate sponsors. We're pro-am teams, hospitality, branding. John Mercer, Aaron Kiker, Alice Blackman on my staff. They're all our renewals, but new customers. They're talking with prospects. My board is helping out, trying to open doors. So it's a lot of sales. Casey Lindsley on my staff's a volunteer coordinator. She's working on getting the volunteer system set up, talking to companies and groups about manning holes and what they can do, and a lot of conversations around that. And it's getting ready, talking to vendors. Andy McMillan, my ops director, is working with our tent company and our concessionaire, and everybody that's going to get ready to come on site. So there's a lot of little details along the way that we have all these conversations throughout the year, so that when everybody gets here, the first part of August, it just goes. And a company, let's say they buy a skybox, right? We want them to start thinking about it now, because they started thinking about, what size, what's their budget, who do they invite, so they can get those invitations out and really make it meaningful for the group of people that are coming to their skybox or chalet or on their pro-am team or whatever. So it's kind of what we work on now. I was at the Arnold Palmer Invitational last week talking to players and agents and officials, and I'll go to an event probably every 5 to 6 weeks. I try to get out one kind of in that, just to be visible, ask any questions about our tournament, talk to guys. So there's a lot going on right now, actually.
When do you go to tournaments? No, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking, as you're trying to, even though you're not walking up to the range and going, hey, will you come play this year? We want to see you in Jackson. But how do you go about developing those relationships? Is it a Tuesday, Wednesday thing? Are you there early in the week?
I've done both. A lot of times, this past week, I flew in on a Sunday night and was there Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit Wednesday morning, came back Wednesday afternoon. But then there's been days where I'm there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The players will talk to you just as easily on competition days. Now, I'm very, very, very courteous and respectful of what they've got going on their time. I'm not going to walk up to them on the putting green, 5 minutes before their tee time. But the conversations a lot of times don't center around golf. We talk sports, we talk families, we talk wine. You really just want to be visible to the players, right? To know, and I want to be able to be a resource for a player that when he gets ready to come to the tournament, where should I stay? Where do I eat? Things like that. And I never want to ask a player if he'll be here for two reasons. One, if he is, he'll tell me, Steve, see you in Jackson this fall, right? If he's not, and he doesn't know his plans as far enough, it was 6 months out, 6.5 months. They don't know. They want to finish this season, right?
Sure.
If he's not, or he doesn't know, it's just, you paint him into a corner that you just don't want to put him in, right? So if they're coming, they'll know. And like I said, one time, I think we talked, I don't want to be that guy that they run from on the practice putting, on the range that, hey, there's Steve, let's go check out, see what's going on, got these questions. We just talked about a lot of stuff.
Are there tournament directors who have that reputation?
I'm not going to round out my buddies.
You don't have to call them by name.
I think certain fields develop late, right? And I think there are tournament directors that need to know that, because sometimes the guys don't commit till later on in the process. And I think if they're out there 2-3 weeks out, I think that's a fair question. Hey, are you planning on being in my event here in a couple weeks? From a marketing standpoint, you want your community to know who's coming. And if it's sometimes that question is asked of agents more than it is asked of players, right? Hey, is so-and-so planning on being here in a few weeks? I don't know that everybody has I'm just saying that I want to be the no pressure. Hey, Steve's just out here to represent the Sanderson Farms Championship and, just kind of get to know us type deal. It's about relationships. And, in life you want relationships. You don't, that's what it all kind of revolves around.
Visiting with Steve Jent. He's the executive director of the Sanderson Farms Championship, the Wayne Sanderson Farms Championship. I suppose I should
Sanderson Farms is still a brand, so it'll be the Sanderson Farms Championship. But, yes, the title sponsor is now Wayne Sanderson Farms. Right. But the tournament doesn't – the names staying the same.
So when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. And the fact is, the professional golf tournament, the PGA Tour event in Mississippi, for decades has had this, okay, where does it fit? What does this mean? How's the weather going to be? And there's always been some level of uncertainty. It is in its most stable time ever, but there are all kinds of changes that are happening on the PGA Tour. What does that mean for this golf tournament in our home state championship, or just the players, I guess it is, in Ponte Vedra Beach at TPC Sawgrass, an iconic venue, got holes that people will recognize anywhere, a massive field, a massive purse, all of the things, and it's the flagship event for the PGA Tour. And to go along with the golf tournament, I guess every year, at least most years, the commissioner of the PGA Tour has a press conference and he is asked a wide range of questions. But the tenor of those press conferences in the last 2 years have been very different than in previous years. Steve Jent is our guest. He is the executive director of the Sanderson Farms Championship. And Steve, in years past, it was about growth of the game and TV contracts and purses and all the good that the PGA Tour was doing. But in the last couple of years, it's been about live and disciplinary action and players leaving and will you take them back? And how are you positioning the tour going forward to be able to compete with live? And then this year, kind of a variation of that where they kind of rolled out a new platform with massive purses and more elevated events and smaller fields and limited cuts. And there's just a lot going on. And I felt like one of the unanswered questions was what the fall events, what it was going to mean for the events that happen post-tour championship, which is where your spot on the calendar falls.
Right. And I think there's still some details that, the commissioner's memo was sent out to everybody, and it's hit Instagram and Twitter and everything like that. So I think they're still working on some of the details, and, it's a big week for them down in Ponte Vedra. I'm sure once this is over and wrapped up, they'll sit down with all of us and kind of talk about the changes. But what I've seen so far in terms of the things that impact us and where we stand in the fall, we knew the changes that were announced last June where the fall was going to be a continuation of the season, that the top 70 players in the FedEx Cup standings would secure their card for the following January 24. And then everyone 71 on down was going to be fighting to keep their card to stay in that 125, but the point system would continue, which I think is really good for the fall events. I'm really bullish on the fall, and I'm not just saying this because, I want to create some false sense of, things are going to happen here, but I really do. I think that the guys that fall in the top 70, just because they're in that top 70, doesn't mean they won. If you're 69th in the FedEx Cup list and you've secured your card, you had a good year. It doesn't mean you won a golf tournament. And winning a golf tournament means a 2-year exemption on the PGA Tour, means you get into Century, which is, Maui, which is now a designated event with a $15 million purse. And, it's just, there's a lot to play for there. And what I saw in that memo the other day is that, not knowing the exact details, but success for a player in the fall could lead into getting into these designated events in the first part of the season. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to work. They haven't talked to us about it, but that's what they laid out. I think that's great for the fall. There's going to be 6 or 7 events, and you're going to see some guys fall out of that top 70 that are great names that are going to potentially be here, in Mississippi. And I look at things. I'm at 2,000 feet looking at our tournament, right? I know World Golf Rankings. I know the players. I know everything. Everybody else, I kind of got to do a little check every now and then. Everybody else was at 30,000 feet, 40,000 feet. They don't know what Ricky Fowler's world ranking is. They just know that they would love to see Ricky in Mississippi at some point. Justin Rose, Adam Scott. These are names of guys that felt that this past year were not in the top 70 right now. Will they come here? I don't know. I mean, I think we've got a great reputation. It's a great golf course, great food, great restaurants, easy to move around. When I talk to players week in, week out, they come up to me and tell me what's a great tournament we have. I don't have to ask them. So I think there's a lot that we have done working our favor that we haven't shot ourselves in the foot, that we could have some really good names here in the fall. And the reality of it is, every year when you're a fall tournament, and even a lot of the regular season tournaments, as I sit here right now, I have no idea who's coming. I know I'm going to have 144 of the top players in the world. It's going to be phenomenal golf. But it's about charity. It's about community support. It's about, I think Davis Love said this morning on one of the SiriusXM shows. It's about supporting your community and raising money for charity. And when John Mercer and Aaron on my staff are talking to sponsors about Pro-Am teams and skyboxes, it's about that. It's about having a great time, entertaining clients and customers. It's going to be great golf, no matter who's here. And, but I really, really think some of these changes could be good for the fall tournaments that would be compelling reason why a guy would play in the fall, which maybe he wouldn't have in the past. So
I keep thinking one of these years you're going to be like, hey, Richard, I got a spot I really need you to fill in the Pro-Am. Well, I'm sure the list of people that would love to get that call is so long and distinguished.
You said Pro-Am, right? I thought you were going to say spot in the tournament. But
no.
Brian's asked me for that already in the past. But hey, you never know. I mean, hey, I just say have the sticks ready. Just be maybe on Sunday night. Hey, Brian, hey, Richard, Brian, I got a spot tomorrow morning. Just come on. So we'll see.
Hey, Dad, did you hear that? Maybe a spot for you.
There's not enough. There's not enough yardage to keep me safe on that thing.
Oh, my gosh. No, yeah, we'll see. But I really do. I'm a big fan of what we could be doing this fall. I just think it's going to be really good.
I guess this is kind of putting you on the spot, but I mean, you threw out three pretty big names there because of where they were a year ago. Ricky Fowler, Justin Rose, Adam Scott. I mean, those are bucket list guys for a tournament. Hey, do you feel like you've ever gotten close with those guys or with guys like that?
Yeah, probably in the past a little bit with some of their agents when they just didn't know. I mean, obviously the COVID year brought us Sergio, it brought us Henrik Stenson. I don't know. I'm just saying that those are examples of some guys that this past year weren't in the top 70, and in a normal year they may have to think about in the fall. Hey, I minded tee it up a couple times. Those are guys, they don't need to play because of the status, but they might want to play. I think there could be we could have a very compelling field this fall for guys that are wanting to play. And a lot of the guys said, Steve, just because I finished in the top 70, I'm not putting the clubs up for 4 months. We like your golf course. I want to keep my game sharp. They don't want to go into Maui or, Sony in Hawaii or Farmers and not played in 3 months. I mean, it's just they're going to play golf in the fall.
Are you more comfortable than you were a year ago with the stability of this tournament?
We still have 4 years left, four good years left. Last year I had 5. I mean, not in terms of stability, but I think there's some a year ago there were some things that the tour was trying to work out, right? And I'm not in those inner circles, and I knew that they were trying to figure some things out. But I think what they've done have made some really interesting, compelling stories that could happen now in the fall. Guys trying to fight to keep their card, right? So I don't know if stability is the right word. I think that you could see some really compelling stories this fall, and that we just didn't know how it would kind of shape out a year ago. So,
last thing for you, in terms of logistics for the golf course. I mean, the relationship that the Sanderson Farms Championship has with the Country Club of Jackson, I know is very, very strong. And so many members at CCJ are involved in this, and they're proud of this event. But hosting a PGA Tour event is not a small undertaking, and it's not easy on a golf course and its membership. How difficult is that?
It's not. I mean, really? As far as I know, I mean, there's a great membership out there. I just had lunch today with the new president, Chan McLeod, and with the outgoing president, Tommy Ferguson. Chan's all in. Our tournament is at the perfect time of year in that golf course, I think. One, it's in phenomenal shape. Stanley Reed and his crew do an amazing job, making my job easier when I do go out and talk to players. Even though we're in the South, unless you overseed, the Bermuda around here in some of these golf courses isn't really, really good until mid-June, right? And in mid-June, there's two things. It's hot, and everybody wants to go on vacation, right? Everybody's in Destin or North Carolina or wherever, right? So, you get past Labor Day, yes, we're going to be when college football plays. It is what it is. That golf course is really, really good in September and early October, the way we need it to be. You can control the grasses more than you can at any other time of the year. And hopefully it's a time of year when, you get past Labor Day, rounds played does tend to drop off out there. And I think all the members I talk to, they're proud of having it. They jump in volunteer positions. They're Century Club members. They're sponsors. It's just a great group of people to work with. The staff, Patrick Joyce and his staff are awesome. They've got a new chef. It's a really, really good partnership.
The players this weekend, give me a winner. Give me your pick.
We were talking about this. That's a golf course where a lot of different styles of players have won in the last 10 or 12 years. It's hard to go against McKenzie, because he's my defending champion. I can see Scotty's playing really well. The guy that I really think could win at some point, Players or the Masters, because I just think he's gritty. Don't count out Kevin Kisner. I think his game is just, he's great at match play because he just lines up and says, I'm just going to kick your butt.
We got to get Kiz to Jackson. He's a fun guy.
He's been here. He likes it. It just hasn't fit sometime, but I'll tell him you said so next time I see him. So, yeah.
Steve Jent, Executive Director of the